Alice Wise would say years later that her normally stoic husband wept tears of joy looking over the valley and understanding the blessing of his new homeland. The young couple built a sturdy log cabin along the banks of Ghilly Creek, which split the valley down the middle almost perfectly, though wending in places. In the high meadow, just below where Wise witnessed the valley for the first time, and just above his cabin, he built a church to ply his oratory skills and deliver the word of God. In short order, he had a good-sized congregation, as churches were few in the mountains in those days, and people would travel a good distance to hear the young preacher who owned Ghilly Creek. Thomas and Alice, by all appearances, had it all in Ghilly Creek. They owned cattle, pigs, chickens, and horses, grew corn, potatoes, beans, tomatoes, squash, okra, and cucumbers. They planted strawberries, blueberries, and had a small vineyard of red grapes. Anything they planted grew with ease, and harvests were plentiful, which they shared with many. Over the years, Alice bore Thomas a total of 8 daughters. There was Amelia, Ananita, Adele, Eliza, Emelina, Azalea, Orazeola, and Elizabeth. From those 8 daughters, larger families arose as they married off to the likes of the surnames Wiseman, McKinney, Buckman, Pearsall, Bonner, Willis, Jones, and Younger. I know what you're thinking. What about the ghost devils and haunts? Did Reverend Wise, as a man of God, get some sort of a pass in dealing with these entities? Most would think so, but they would be far from the truth. The wraith of Ghilly Creek, who would one day become known as Honeysuckle, made a call on the young reverend and put him to the test. It was a test he passed, but that's another story. And at what cost, well, you'll have to wait to hear. As for that first generation of the Wise clan, life was almost idyllic. This too would surely pass. About halfway up the valley, a low hill down off Panther Ridge would become the community cemetery. The Reverend Thomas Wise would be the first interment. He died on Christmas Day, 1855, at the ripe old age of 95. Alice would follow him in death only 2 months later and be buried by his side, her own stone to mark her resting spot, which was the custom in those days. Over the years, a strange visitor was spotted at their graves every now and then. The strange visitor was a tall man, gaunt with sunken eyes. He always wore a long black frock coat and donned a large black wide-brimmed hat. No one ever saw him come or go, never on horseback and never on foot. He would be there, and then he would not be there. It would be the eldest daughter, Amelia Wise Bonner, who would one day share with my great-great-grandfather the story of the man in the black frock coat, as told to her by her mother, Alice. This mystery would spawn many stories, some true, some most likely fiction, and some indistinguishable either way. That said, I'll say this, though I'm naturally skeptical when it comes to Ghilly Creek. Well, let's just say, I get over that issue. Doggone it, my coffee's cold. I'm going to freshen that up, throw another couple of sticks on the fire, and speculate what these mountains must have looked like to the likes of Daniel Boone, Hester Murdoch, Thomas Wise, Professor Mitchell, and the early native Cherokee. And if we're fortunate, we'll not have a tall visitor tonight in a black frock coat and large, wide-brimmed hat.